Throughout its history, Jujutsu Kaisen has never had a shortage of not only great female characters, but also strong ones such as Mei Mei, Uro, and Nobara. But when thinking about which of them truly stand at the top of the hierarchy of power within the story, three examples in particular come to mind, those being Yorozu, a sorcerer from the Heian era incarnated in the modern day within the body of Tsumiki Fushiguro, Maki Zen'in, a heavenly restriction user who has given up every drop of cursed energy within her body to further enhance her innate physical prowess, as well as Yuki Tsukumo, one of only 4 special grade sorcerers who can land fatally decisive blows with her mass technique capable of tearing the world apart. Given the incredible power these three wield, I thought it would make for an interesting discussion if we attempted to find out who is the strongest woman in Jujutsu Kaisen. That being said, try to keep in mind that Jujutsu Kaisen is still ongoing, and something that I say here could be disproven or contradicted by new chapters or supplementary material such as databooks or popularity polls in the future. But also keep in mind that this video will contain heavy manga spoilers covering information from up to chapter 251. If you are not caught up, you've been warned. Considered to be the spitting image of Toji, Maki was raised amongst the Zen'in clan where she would be chastised and treated as an outcast for not only possessing cursed energy reserves equal to that of a regular person, but also not having any cursed technique, attempting to relegate her to the role of something akin to a trad housewife within the Zen'in clan, stuck doing chores instead of being on the front lines as a sorcerer exercising curses. She would still become a powerful fighter in her own right as a Jujutsu High second year, capable of completely demolishing grade 2 curses with no problem and wielding curse tools like Playful Cloud against even stronger curses like Hanami and Dagon. But after being burned and nearly killed by Jogo in Shibuya, Maki would venture back home to the Zen'in in search of curse tools, where she would once again be ridiculed before being confronted, beaten, and left for dead by her father. However, she would then undergo a radical transformation with the aid of her sister Mai, who took every bit of Maki's cursed energy with her to her death, leaving Maki with only one command: destroy everything. With a new body utilizing the full extent of her heavenly restriction by discarding all of her cursed energy, Maki would go on to murder her entire family who had previously written her off as weak, becoming just like Toji in the words of characters like Megami and Ranta. With her new heavenly restricted anatomy, Maki has remarkable physical capabilities. Her speed is excellent considering that she is faster than the likes of even Naobito Zen'in, someone hailed to be the fastest sorcerer only inferior to Satoru Gojo. Her durability is something of note as well, as she is seen tanking the lightning from 15 Fingers Sukuna's Nue, with Sukuna himself noting that Maki is no small fry. This could both be a product of her innate physical toughness as much as it could be her resistance to curses through heavenly restriction, where she's demonstrated the ability to completely bypass Ranta's curse technique that immobilizes his targets and surviving being crushed by the giant hands, a part of Chojuro Zenin's technique. Most useful to Maki, however, might be the fact that she is considered an inanimate object due to her lack of cursed energy, making her completely unaffected by domains or even some techniques like cursed speech. With these showings and statements, it's no wonder that Maki can stand side by side along the likes of Yuta and Hikari as the new heavy hitters of Jujutsu High's fighting force, which is also reinforced by characters like Kenjaku being wary of both she and Yuta, believing that they are both a threat to him, as well as Yuta also stating that Maki could have done just as well against Kenjaku as himself. The girl who was told that she would be nothing now stands in front of the King of Curses to challenge him and show just how far she's truly come. Known as only one of 4 considered to be special grades sitting at the pinnacle of Jujutsu society, as well as being a mentor to other sorcerers like Aoi Todo, Yuki Tsukumo was once a star plasma vessel like Riko Amanai, and it is because of this that she has a complicated relationship with and resents Tengen, which is also in line with her values not lining up with those of Jujutsu High and the higher-ups who call the shots, being how she's gained the reputation of the no-good special grade who doesn't take any missions and just bums around overseas. Still though, Yuki has contributed to a significant portion of knowledge regarding the soul with her own research and has undoubtedly earned the rank of special grade despite the fact we haven't seen her participate in many battles aside from her fight against Kenjaku. Yuki immediately comes out and decimates Kenjaku's special grade cursed spirit, then deals him a powerful punch that tears both of his arms off, utilizing her mass technique that can add virtual mass to herself or her Garuda curse tool, greatly amplifying their attack strength. But after Kenjaku has noticed that Yuki has taken a second to analyze him, this is where things start to not go in her favor as much. The plan was for Yuki to push Kenjaku into a position where he is forced to use his domain expansion. Then once the barrier is formed inside of the Sunyata barrier, Tengen would crush the barrier layer of Kenjaku's domain, leaving him vulnerable against Yuki with curse technique burnout. They miscalculated, however, and greatly, as the barrier that Tengen was seeking to destroy did not exist. Since Kenjaku was only one of 2 people who have demonstrated the ability to expand his domain and activate a curse technique without closing a barrier. Kenjaku then figures out their strategy and mocks Tengen, who elected for Yuki to not use her own domain and instead employ their plan, something that Kenjaku considers to be an outdated strategy. Despite taking a sure hit from Kenjaku's domain and being severely damaged with mangled limbs, Yuki still puts up a good fight, outright refusing to heal herself while taking advantage of Kenjaku's curse technique burnout and analyzing him, meaning she has remarkable endurance even outside of her reverse curse technique. But after Kenjaku tears her apart, she takes him by surprise and cranks her mass up to the max in order to create a black hole. This would have proven to be not only Kenjaku's end, but potentially the end for the entire world in his own words, if not for Kaori Itadori's anti-gravity curse technique. Though her one and only battle ended with her unfortunate demise, Yuki Tsukumo perfectly demonstrates how special grades are chosen, a rank only given to those with unusual abilities, granting them the power to overthrow entire nations. And one could only imagine how things may have changed for Jujutsu High if she stayed around attempting to rebuild what the higher-ups had destroyed. A sorcerer originating from the Heian period 1,000 years ago, Yorozu lived among and rivaled some of the strongest sorcerers not only of this era, but throughout all of Jujutsu history as a whole, soundly defeating the 5 Void Generals who could allegedly rival a squad led by Takako Uro, and having cursed energy output equal to those standing at the top. This strength somewhat isolated Yorozu from others, however, so much so that she has little care or reverence for those around her, letting her subordinates be repeatedly chastised for her refusal to wear clothes, often walking around completely naked and attending important formal events in this manner as well. But when one fateful day she would lay eyes on Sukuna for the first time, she would immediately fall for him, constantly chasing him and desiring to teach and share the love she felt with him, declaring she understands the solitude that originated from his strength and questions why no one else could. They would meet once again in the modern era after taking the Fushiguro siblings as their vessels, where Yorozu would once again attempt to woo Sukuna, this time electing to enter a binding vow where if she could defeat him, he would then be forced to marry and start a new life with her. Yorozu's curse technique is construction, allowing her to replicate any substance she has knowledge of with enough practice. After hearing of the energy efficiency of insects, along with things like their remarkable speed and inconceivable power despite their size, Yorozu became convinced that the insect armor she created using these various strands of evolution to be the pinnacle of her construction technique. Despite this admittedly clever use of her technique, Yorozu still has incredibly poor cursed energy efficiency and uses up quite a bit of her cursed energy reserves fairly quickly, with her liquid metal also being disrupted by the use of reverse curse technique around her. Within her domain, however, Yorozu can utilize a perfect sphere as her sure hit. It's said that it is impossible to create a truly perfect sphere. Such objects have a small point of contact, therefore generating infinite pressure along its surface, instantly erasing anything that comes into contact. While this is probably one of the better sure hits in the series considering that its targets instantly vanish in Yorozu's words, there is a problem. That being that techniques with poor cursed energy efficiency such as Yorozu's often lead to their users becoming one-trick ponies and falling back on what they usually know, making them easy targets for Maharaga's adaptation, which Sukuna uses to destroy the perfect sphere within Yorozu's domain. Sukuna would be successful in his goal of murdering Tsumiki Fushiguro to further bury Megami's soul within his body, and Yorozu would recreate Sukuna's Kamitoke curse tool as a final parting gift. Though her time in the story is short-lived, Yorozu left her mark as not only one of the strongest of the past, but one of the strongest sorcerers we've seen in the story period, with those of her time comparing her savagery to even the likes of Sukuna, someone with which she truly connected. With that, I think it's pretty fair to say that Yorozu is currently the strongest female character in Jujutsu Kaisen. Yuki is undoubtedly a powerful special grade sorcerer with her mass technique being incredibly dangerous, especially against those who do not have reverse curse technique, and Maki being on par with Toji with her heavenly restricted body, alongside comparing to the likes of Yuta and Hakari is undoubtedly impressive, but Yorozu is just beyond these sorts of heavy hitter level characters, as she once again completely annihilated a squad containing fighters equal to that of a squad led by Uro, someone who Yuta believes to be strong, is capable of reacting to Yuta, and is seen taking hits from both Yuta and Rika. Yorozu stood among the strongest of her era in terms of her cursed energy output as well, and she repeatedly declares that she understands or relates to the isolation that comes with peerless strength, despite the fact fighters like the aforementioned Uro or even Arame who can somewhat contend with Akari are very much around and present, yet still only feeling any sort of connection or love with Sukuna. She also reacts to and takes hits from Sukuna, who she can also damage as well. Some chalk this up to Sukuna holding back on Yorozu, and while this is true, he is only holding back his shrine or cleave and dismantle techniques, as he wants to kill Tsumiki Fushiguro with Megami Fushiguro's own Ten Shadows technique, meaning there is no reason for him to be holding back either his speed or his durability. Regarding who may be stronger between Maki and Yuki, Yuki quite easily damaging Kenjaku with her mass technique and making him question if he could beat her is pretty impressive considering how Kenjaku compares to other fighters like Yuta and Maki. But Maki may still be faster than her when you consider the fact that she is faster than Naobito, who is the fastest sorcerer. And Maki may still have more to show us in her current standoff against Sukuna. Though some may be stronger than others between these three, how would they fare in a free-for-all scenario akin to something like Sendai Colony? If Yuki was able to land some kind of decisive blow on Maki, it could prove fatal considering Maki's lack of reverse curse technique, but she would first have to be capable of hitting Maki, who is faster than her and has the soul split katana to negate Yuki's durability. Maki may also not be susceptible to fatal blows from the mass technique depending on how you factor in or interpret her curse resistance as a heavenly restriction user. A good win condition for Maki in this scenario would be if she could get Yuki and Yorozu into a domain clash, in which case she could catch Yorozu off guard inside the barrier as an inanimate object and land a fatal blow using the soul split katana, with Yorozu not having anything like reverse curse technique to come back from it. This would be ideal considering that Yorozu is a bigger threat than Yuki in this scenario with things like her perfect sphere and insect armor. Then after dealing with Yorozu, Yuki won't be as much trouble, especially with her curse technique burnt out after a domain. Yuki does have an advantage in the fact that she's up against two opponents who cannot heal themselves after injuries from her technique, but she has no real way to take advantage of this considering that they are both potentially much faster than her. At best, Yuki compares to people like Yuta in speed, considering this statement where Maki says Yuki is the same level as Yuta, but this could just as easily refer to the fact that they are both special grades, and even if we grant her this statement, Maki and Yorozu are still faster than her. Yuki still has her black hole, but this would obviously just kill herself along with the other two, meaning this is hardly a win condition. Yorozu versus Maki could be interesting depending on how you factor in her curse resistance, but Yorozu being above Maki in raw stats alongside attacks like Perfect Sphere means a similar fate to Yuki's awaits her as well, unless she can manage to make something happen with the Soul Split Katana. That about wraps it up for all I have to say regarding this topic today, but I do have other Jujutsu Kaisen content on my channel you might be interested in, like my previous versus battles that I've done, or even my recent video comparing domain expansions to Bankai from Bleach. But I plan to make even more videos about Jujutsu Kaisen and various other topics in the future, so subscribe for free to be notified of what I get up to in the future, such as when I upload or stream. Like this video to support both the channel and myself, as well as let me know that this is the type of content you want to see. Let me know in the comments below if I missed anything or other topics you'd like to see me cover in the future. Thank you all for watching, and have a blessed day. Let it roll!